Sometimes you can see stuff and you can see earnings and money that's being made and you go, wait, what? How did he do that? Just because I don't understand how it happened doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's the same thing with the stock market. It doesn't matter if you believed it happened or not. My bank account still grew, in this case by $39,000. The question that you want to ask yourself is, how do I learn the tricks of the trade? How do I learn how to levitate my bank account? Don't be in such a rush to get rich overnight. Put in the time, put in the work, and soon it will look easy for you. So the stock market can seem like a magical place. It could seem like this place where it's like hocus pocus, abracadabra, and boom, money just appears magically for some people who are just special. And the reality is, yes, it's a magical place, but it's not hocus pocus. It's not abracadabra. It's available for everybody. And recently I took the kids, we went to a cider mill, and then they had a magic show with Bill the Magician. Actually, same guy ended up hiring for my daughter's birthday party, happened to be doing a show at the same place. And what I learned from him doing magic so relates to the stock market that I had to break it down in this episode and share with you my top 3 takeaways from looking at someone doing real magic to coming over to our industry, the stock market, where it can feel like magic, especially if you're on the outside. You just don't understand what is going on, how in the world people are doing this. And it could almost seem a little bit fake. It almost could seem a little unreal if you don't understand the tricks of the trade. Now I'm using that word, the tricks, because that's what they did in this magic show. They did these tricks, but there were tricks of the trade that made the magic show so special and even made me as an adult go, wait a minute, what? How did he do that? And I think the stock market is the same way. Sometimes you can see stuff and you can see earnings and money that's being made and you go, wait, what? How did he do that? So I want to unpack that in this episode. So at this magic show, Bill the Magician, one of the tricks that really blew my mind is because I think it blew my mind because I couldn't figure out how he did it. And that's the whole key of magic. If you knew how it worked, it probably wouldn't seem so magical. And so what he did was he had his assistant with him. She kind of laid on he put this rug over her, kind of wrapped her in a cloak, and she laid flat on this table, just laid flat. And then he said, do you guys want to see me levitate her off this table? And of course we're like, yeah, of course we want to see you levitate. And the kids were like, yeah, levitate her off the table, right? And so he did his thing with his hands and kind of did this to show you there was no rope, or at least made you appear there was no rope. I don't know how he did it, to be honest. And he was like, and he just started to levitate this young lady off the table. Now I'm sitting there as a full grown adult, like, okay, wait a minute. She really is levitating. I'm looking up in the rafters. I don't see a rope coming down to lift her up. The table didn't move. So I'm like, the table didn't lift her up. I cannot for the life of me figure out how he levitated this woman, his assistant, off the table. I can't figure it out, but I was mind blown. And the lesson I learned from seeing that magic trick, is just because I don't understand how he did it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Like, I saw her levitate off the table. And just because I don't understand how she levitated doesn't mean she didn't levitate. And it got me thinking about the stock market. The last episode I did was called A Letter to My 18-Year-Old Self, where I talked about recently I just had a trade where I made $39,000 in 6 days. And if you haven't seen that video, please go back, check it out. We'll put a link to it in the description. We'll pop a card up here somewhere, but go check out that video because in 6 days, we made $39,000 in options trade. What it made me think about with relationship to Build a Magician is that some people will see a video like that and they'll be like, wait, what? How did someone make $39,000 in 6 days? And I feel like it's the same way with the magician. Just because I don't understand how it happened doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's the same thing with the stock market. A lot of people see information on the internet, and I had the privilege of talking to a lot of people in person lately. I've been getting out there, talking to people. I'm in different programs like the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and we have to share what we do. A lot of people, even let me give you a different example. I was at the gym and I drove the Rolls Royce to the gym, and it has the Brown Report logo, YouTube logo, and the guy must have looked it up in the parking lot. And when he came in, he's like, "Are you the Brown Report?" I'm like, yes, because I kind of forgot I drove that car to the gym that day. He was like, "Wow, it's nice to actually meet someone in person that does the stock market." And he said, I see those ads online all the time, and I just wonder, is it real? And it's nice to meet a real person. And what he was basically trying to tell me is like, I see the numbers, I see the ads, I see people like you, probably even saw my own ads or social media. And there was a part of him that probably questioned, like, is that real? And I bet that questioning, is it real? Does this work, comes from the similar experience I had with Build a Magician. Because I didn't understand how it works, you question, like, is this real? Is she really levitating? But then I had to realize, just because I don't understand how it happens doesn't mean it didn't happen. The girl lifted up in the air. And I thought about that gentleman who's like, wow, finally get to meet someone real. What it said to me was, a lot of people, because they don't understand how it happens, they default to, maybe this is fake, maybe this isn't real, nobody really makes that kind of money. Sometimes your brain wires or leans more towards the negative, or you don't understand it. When you don't understand it, it leans more towards the negative, or it leans more towards this isn't real or this is a scam. And I also think that's just your brain trying to protect you. Your brain is a logical piece of your body that's saying, hey, if I can't figure out why 2 + 2 = 4, then I don't believe it equals 4. Like, if I can't put 2 apples here plus 2 more apples and count 4 apples, then I don't get it. And I think your brain is just trying to protect you. But I want people to think about that. Just because you don't understand how it happens doesn't mean it didn't happen. I did a seminar one time, and I remember saying, I remember specifically in this seminar, I said, it doesn't matter if you believed it happened or not. My bank account still grew, in this case by $39,000. It doesn't matter if you believe it. Doesn't matter. It grew by 39 grand, whether you believe it or not. And so the question that you want to ask yourself is, how do I learn the tricks of the trade? How do I learn how to levitate someone off the table? How do I learn how to levitate my bank account? Now, the second thing that I took away from Build a Magician is, I'm very analytical. I think about people and their craft. I'm very fascinated by anybody in a profession. I'm fascinated by the garbage man. I'm fascinated by the waitress, the waiter, the magician, the doctor, the lawyer, up to the surgeon, you name it. I'm fascinated with everybody, because typically that means they do something I don't do, and I can respect either the craft, the skill of a waitress learning the menu, being able to recite the different liquors and alcohol and wines and the years of the bottles. And I mean, I'm like, whoa, that is impressive. And when I think about Bill the Magician, the second thing I took from him is that I am sure that he has been practicing magic and putting in work for a very long time. I am sure he didn't just wake up and like, I'm going to try this trick. I mean, he probably practiced levitating her off that table for a while. He did some other tricks as well. He was able to like pull a rabbit out of a hat, and you looking like, wait a minute, like the rabbit is too big to be in a trap door in the hat. So how did he get the rabbit out of there? And yes, I'm sure he knows how he did it, but I don't know how he did it. But the point is, he made it look easy. He made it look easy for that rabbit to appear out of the hat. He made it look easy to levitate that young lady off the table. He made it look easy he had like 2 ducks and then he just did something and the ducks disappeared. I'm like, okay, that was slick. He made it look easy. And I was thinking about it. I was like, of course he made it look easy. He has been putting in work probably for years, learning magic, doing tricks, doing shows, practicing in his living room, practicing for his parents, practicing for his friends. He's probably been doing this stuff for years. And it's similar to the stock market. You can come online on social media, you see a YouTube video, you see an Instagram post, maybe you've seen some of my stuff, and it's like we make it look easy. These stock traders online that are, the real ones that are actually making some money, sometimes it could be like, man, they make it look too easy. And when we make it look easy, which is kind of why I stopped posting my wins, because I believe sometimes it makes it look too easy. And then people think like, all I got to do is open an account and pick some stocks. And the truth is, I've been putting in a ton of reps and hours behind the scenes for years. I started trading and investing in the stock market when I was 18, over 20 years ago. And so when you see a trade like the one we talked about in the last episode, where it's like, yeah, I made $39,000 in 6 days. It can look like, whoa, that's just too easy. Like build a magician. Like that looks just too easy. How'd he do that? It could look super easy, but don't get it twisted. Don't get it confused. In order to get to that point in our craft, we've been putting in work for years. We've been putting in a ton of hours. We've been studying, practicing, taking losses, all kind of stuff for years. And so if you want to get to that point where you just make it look easy, you don't have to think as much about your investments, your trades. You don't have to sit in front of a computer all day. You have to think that that is a place that you have to know, I should say. You have to know that that is a place that you grow to, not a place that you go to. Am I making sense? I'm going to say that again. That is a place that you grow to, not a place that you go to. You grow to that level of magic like Bill. You grow to that level of magical profit, magical trades, magical to be able to put money at risk without feeling stressed. You grow to those levels. You don't go to those levels. And you grow to those levels by putting in the work, by learning the tricks of the trade, by practicing in a safe environment. I'm sure Bill practiced in a safe environment around his friends, his family, people who wouldn't ridicule him for doing tricks as I don't know, he looked like he could be 60 plus years old, 65, still doing magic tricks. But he probably practiced in a place where it was safe to practice magic and nobody could get hurt. He probably practiced that levitation trick with a mattress underneath her on the floor in case she fell off, whatever, however she got up in the air. It's the same thing with the stock market. You can open a virtual account, a paper trading account. You can practice the tricks of the trade, practice investing, practice taking calculated risk in a safe environment. And as you grow, it's like the gym. As you lifting weights, as you putting in the time, putting in the practice, putting in the reps, you grow to that level where people can say on the outside, you make this look too easy, but they really don't understand that it was never easy. It was always a challenge. It was always a battle, but you just been putting in the work, putting in the time, putting in the hours, and putting in those reps, just like the gym, so that when you throw up 200-300 pounds, they like, man, you throwing that up like it look easy. But it's like, yeah, you didn't see me when I started off lifting 20 pounds. You didn't see me when I was just practicing my form. Then I went from 20 to 40 pounds, 40 to 50 pounds, 50 to 60, 60 to 100, 100 to 150. They didn't see all that. All they see is now you lifting 200-300 like it's easy, like it's light work. Same way Bill levitating people off tables, like it's easy. Same way we're throwing up $39,000 trades in 6 days, looking like it's easy. But the reality is we've been in the gym and we've been putting in the work. Third thing I took away from Bill the Magician is that at the end of the show, he showed us how he did one of his tricks. And so he had this one trick where he had a flower in his hand. And he was like, should we make the flower grow? And he did something and the flower just kind of grew out of his hands. I was like, okay, that's kind of slick. And then he put the flower back in his hands and he said, whoa, this flower is growing too much. It's shooting up. And he like, it shot out of his hands. And so at the end, he showed us that there was a little small string. And if you pull the string down, it was kind of an elastic string. If you let it go a little bit, the flower would move up slowly. It would move up fast, but only like 2 or 3 times to make it look like it's growing. And then if you pull the string a different way and you hold it and you let it go and let the flower go at the same time, the flower would shoot up in the air. And so after it was over and he showed us the trick, he showed the entire audience the trick. Then I went like, okay, now I get how he did it. And then he sold us the trick. So he said, hey, if you want this flower and you want to practice this trick at home, it's $5 to buy the flower, to buy the trick, I should say. And then here's a QR code on it that'll show you how to do some other stuff with it. And he had some other tricks that he sold, I should say. And there was a QR code that you can scan it and you can watch some videos of how he does the tricks. And I thought, man, how ironic. This is so similar to how we work in the stock market. The reality is there was only so much that Bill could teach us for free. There was only so much that he could teach us for free. There was only so much that he could show us and teach us in 1 hour that he was there with us. But if we were willing to invest time, willing to invest money, he could help us master some of those tricks. He could teach us. He could show us what he has learned over the years and shortcut some of that headache, some of that frustration, some of that confusion for us just going home trying to figure it out on our own. How did he make that flower grow? How did he make that flower shoot out of his hand? How did he do some of those tricks? And I thought, man, the stock market is so similar. There's only so much you can help people with for free. There's only so much you can learn from free YouTube videos. But if you are willing to get a coach, get a course, be part of a community, which is why we call it the 3 C's, courses, coaching, community. Why? You need the courses to understand the trick. How does it work? When to do it, how to do it. You need the coaching to say, hey, hold that string like this on that flower. Pick the stock like this. Put a stop loss right here. Hey, you might want to pay attention to earnings that are coming out, the Fed speaking. You need that coach, even though you got the information, you need that coach, that mentor to say, this is how the trick works. And this is why I do it at these times and not those times. So you need that access outside of that free seminar if you want to get good at doing some of the same tricks that Mr. Bill the Magician did. And the stock market is the same way. I thought about it. I said, man, if people are willing to invest, to go beyond free, go beyond the free PDF downloads that we give you, go beyond the free videos and invest a little bit of money, a little bit of time, get a little bit of coaching, a little bit of mentorship, and understand the tricks, my goodness, their bank accounts, their trading, their investments could go further, could go faster, and more importantly, they could get there safer than trying to do it on their own. Can you imagine some kids going home just trying to levitate each other off the couch or off the kitchen table, and they don't have a safety net, they don't have cushions down on the floor, and the kid just falls and cracks their head on the kitchen floor on the towel? That's how people are playing with the stock market in their bank account. They're like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to pick some random stock that I heard about on the internet. And they're getting their head cracked because they don't understand the trick. They don't understand when to do it. They didn't get the right information, the right coaching, the right supportive community around them. And so if you have a chance to go see a magician, I believe you're going to look at magic totally different. And maybe it's just me and how my brain is wired, but I look at everything around me differently. And because I'm so into the stock market, I somehow always bring it. I always learn something from somebody that I'm like, that relates to the stock market. And so I hope that you think about those three things. Number one, just because you don't understand how it works doesn't mean it didn't happen. So what's your action item? Figure out how the stock market works, whether it's from me or whether it's from somebody else that you trust, but don't keep going at it alone. Go learn and figure out how it works. Number two, I'm sure Bill's been practicing that magic and putting in the work for some time to make it look easy. Make sure you put in the work, put in the time, put in the practice. Don't be in such a rush to get rich overnight. Don't be in such a rush to get rich next week. It takes time. Put in the time, put in the work, and soon it will look easy for you. And number three, if you want to go further, faster, safer, make sure you invest in the courses, the coaching, the information, invest in mentorship, invest in doing things the right way versus blowing up your account and then coming back around saying, I should have took a course. I should have got a coach. I should have been part of a community. I can't tell you how many people who tell me I almost got started in the stock market, but my friend talked me out of it, my neighbor, my spouse. And so people think they don't need a community, but you need a community now more than ever because most people around you aren't going after their dreams and goals. Most people around you aren't trying to figure out how to make their money work for them so that they don't have to work so hard for it. But you can be the difference maker. Let me know in the comments which one of the three really opened your eyes when it came to what I learned from Bill the Magician. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you on the next episode.